What merger of Canada and the United States.
All right, elbows up. Elbows up.
My name is Nico Lagan, and I'm too conservative for the conservatives. My co-host, Rob Ambrose, not woke enough for the liberals. We are the Political Orphans. Make sure to like this video. And as always, we want to hear from you, so drop us a comment. Here are the top stories of the day. Mark Carney goes elbow down in Washington today. Tamara, Lich, and Barber gets house arrest. And I have an update for you guys regarding the MAID organ donation scheme that we talked about yesterday. Get your comments ready because the show starts now. What's going on, man?
What's happening, brother? How was yeah, you guys did a live stream earlier today for the Tamara Lich thing. How'd that go?
Awesome. It went, man, I think 67, so 6,700 concurrent watchers for the middle of the day.
Oh yeah, no, it's a lot. There's a lot of interest.
Crazy.
There's a lot of interest in that story. What were people surprised? Like you probably have your ear to the street a little better on this issue than I do. Were people surprised by this? With house arrest, or were they expecting less or more, or like?
You know, that's a hard question because for me at least, I believe that they already been punished. As much as I don't think they should have been ever dragged in court, I don't think that they had anything that deserved them spending almost 3 years in limbo, figuring out, like waiting to know, are they going to jail? Are they losing everything? Because Barber is a trucker. Now they want to go after his truck. Like this is a separate case that's going to be dealt with, if I remember correctly, in November. But all to say that, to me, they've been punished so much. They've literally the government has showed us that they have weaponized our justice system. And as we say all the time on the show, the process is the punishment, and that's
sure.
What we saw with them. But they got 18 months each of house arrest. The first 12 months is really strict, as in they cannot leave their house unless specifically to go to work. At least for Tamara Lich, she could go specifically to work. Barber could go to one single place. I had a bunch of, I always get super prepared for my show. I rebooted my laptop. I forgot to save my document. So I lost everything that I've been working on for the past hour, but hopefully I'll find it as we go. But they basically got 18 months each. Tamara Lich is capable of leaving for both of them can leave the house for 5 hours a week for essential things. And then they get another 6 months after that where Barber has a curfew. It's 10 to 5 at 10 at night to 5 in the morning.
What's the deal with his truck? Are they going to take that?
They don't know yet. They don't know yet. They're going to deal with it in November. It's a separate case, if you will.
Okay.
I think I'd have to double check. I don't like to talk about stuff that I haven't double checked first, but I believe that one is almost civil. One's criminal, but I'd have to check. Either way, I don't think the second one there's no criminal penalties. It's just you lose your fucking truck. Basically, they won the truck.
Well, I mean, those things are worth $200,000 or $300,000. Like those have real value.
Maybe more.
Right? Yeah,
maybe a lot more depending on what it is, right?
Yeah, they're pretty valuable, and for a lot of those guys that own them, that's basically their business. It's how they make their living. To take that is to take someone's livelihood.
And that's exactly what's happening with them. This is exactly what's happening with Chris, sorry. That is his livelihood. He runs a business, and a lot of his business is in the U.S.
Yeah. So
it's going to be very, very interesting. But just, we were following a guy that's called Right Blend. He's a journalist, and he literally sits in court with his laptop and gives life updates on his laptop. The dude is insane the way he types. He's like, and they're all technical terms, like he's quoting the judge, like as she goes. And I think we got 40 updates from him in the span of about 2.5 hours. Like,
No
it was
shit.
insane. The guy is just like, bah, 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 fucking I follow that guy, but he's insane. I
This
never.
guy was the MVP, eh?
Oh, yeah, 100%. Because Jason has his pass to get footage from the Court of Ontario, but he put his request yesterday too late, so he never heard back from them. But he's not allowed to show the feed online, but he can describe what they're like. He would have it on the separate screen, and he could tell us what's going on. But with that other guy, man, I think I'll do that next time we have a big case to cover. I'm just gonna jump to his feed. The dude's insane. I did not realize how awesome that guy is. So, right blend, man. Fucking good for you, bro. Like, the work is insane.
Yeah. Eh? Well, yeah. I mean,
It's just like Wilf is saying. Yeah.
he's okay on court reports, a bit biased on the political end. I assume he's a conservative or a right winger.
I'm not biased at all. What are you talking about? We're all biased. I'm just very open about the fact that I am biased.
Yeah.
So you know what? Since we're there, because we literally spent 3 hours talking about it today.
Oh, is that how long you guys went today?
2 hours, 45
Jesus.
minutes to 3 hours. Yeah.
Jesus.
We had a guy I did not know, but he was part of the Freedom Convoy. He was on the street. His name is Tom Marazzo.
Sure.
All to say, man, awesome. It was great. Absolutely great to have him. He's very, very knowledgeble. Nice. So it was cool. And he's a good speaker. You know, when people are capable of putting two sentences together without, so
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know the guy, but I like him. I like him.
Nice. Should we,
well, we'll just jump in this because, man, I beat that horse for almost 3 hours today, so there's just so much.
Yeah,
left
I mean,
to say.
you definitely take the lead on this. I'm pretty much all I know about this case is what I've learned on this show. I've done some research because we talk about it quite a bit, but I mean, it seems like these guys just got railroaded. The process is a punishment, as we like to say around here. Even if they got, I mean, how long have they been dealing with this over their head? Years now, right?
Almost 3. Yeah, give or take. Let's call it 3. Give or take, yeah.
Yeah.
So they got, as it says here, Chris Barber, Tamara, Lich were sentenced to 12 months of house arrest and 6 months of curfew. They're not going to jail. Tamara supposedly spent about, I think it was 49 or 79 days in prison. Chris Barber had never been to prison for this. So the first year for both, it's full house arrest. And she gets credited 3.5 months, if I'm not mistaken. If I remember correctly, it was 3.5 months that she gets credited because of the time served. He gets a full 6 months. But I saw the numbers in here. So they basically got away with not going to prison. But like I was writing earlier on my Instagram, this is not nothing. They've had to deal with this shit for 3 years. Like, well, I don't think people... curious
how much they've spent on this. Like, what's the financial cost to them been?
So Chris Barber is represented by the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedoms. Okay. Tamara Lich is represented by another similar group of lawyers. Sure. But so normally they do their work pro bono, right? Like those guys, they don't charge.
Lost wages, lost work. I mean, if they've got Chris's truck, right?
I believe I heard some numbers on the podcast earlier. I don't know how accurate they are, but somebody said $50,000 just back and forth to go to Ottawa back, because Chris is from Saskatchewan, right? Mm-hmm. So,
well, I mean, yeah, that's certainly not nothing.
So here it is. So basically 12 months of house arrest followed by 6 months of curfew between 10 and 5. They also have to do 100 hours of community service. But there was another thing. Hold on. Say what you have to say there. And I'm going to find a post that I saw earlier because it had because there's a lot of stuff that comes like house arrest. It's not like in the movies, right? There's a bunch of restrictions and things you can and cannot do. because Chris at the end of the day works with his truck, right? So I just want to make sure. I'm just gonna look for it because I saw a post earlier that described it very well.
Well, you wonder, like, what's the, where's the, like, does society need protection from these people? Like, where's the public interest in sentencing these people to house arrest? Like, whether you agree with what they did or not, it was a pretty specific moment in time that they were, engaging with. They were, they were the leaders of the trucker convoy in Ottawa, which obviously was a protest against COVID lockdowns. I mean, a lot of that's ancient history. Like, it's not like these are not likely to, these are not the people you need to be worried about, going out and committing more crimes. Funny thing is, the people that actually are, you do need to be worried about committing crimes. They're all getting probation. They're getting bail. They're not getting even house arrest. They're certainly not getting jail time. It just, again, it's to me, it just strikes me as more evidence of just a justice system that has its priorities all out of whack.
They needed a pound of flesh. They needed a pound of flesh, man. Supposedly that the estimates for how much it costs the crown is something like $10 million that it costs just for that trial alone. So they need something to show for it. Sure. And there's no way that, I don't think they were able to go either extreme. They would have never been able to get a 7 or 8 years for mischief, and they couldn't have let them walk either, because the left would have lost their shit and the right would have lost their shit if they had 7 or 8 years for mischief. So no matter what, I think the judge went somewhere down the middle, I guess. But it's not really the middle. They just wanted their pound of flesh. That's what they wanted at the end of the day. They needed to be able to explain themselves, but at the same time, they might not want to be able to get the ruling overthrown, right? They don't want to be challenged either afterwards. So we'll see. We'll see if the Crown, because technically the Crown could appeal this if they're not happy, because there's no way they're happy. There's no way they're happy with that after 3 years, right?
Oh, you don't think the Crown's pleased?
Again, see, this
is
really the thing, right?
They were going to get jail time. Jail time always seemed crazy to me. When they were talking about 7 years, that sounded insane.
Yeah, but at the same time, man, so I follow a lot of leftists, right, to see what people say on either side of the equation in the middle. I'm trying to get an opinion from everywhere, and it's insane. Like this morning, people were just calling, they're like, today's going to be a celebration, can't wait to see them in handcuffs. And they were, some people had videos of jail saying, I can't wait to see them in there. Yeah, of course, people believe that what they did was anti-constitutional, that what they did is almost treasonous, yet it's the government that was anti-constitutional in what they did. They were found guilty to have misused the Emergency Act. So they're the ones that have done something wrong, yet people are so brainwashed because they literally took over Ottawa for 3 weeks, right? They stayed there for about 3 weeks, yet did you see about a month ago? I don't even think it's been a month, but within the past few weeks, the pro-Palestine protests in Ottawa, there was a bunch of them that had tickets for making too much noise after a certain time. All their tickets got canceled. Yet today, in the ruling, she brought up the fact that people complain because of the honking. So our two-tier system is so there, and this is what drives me nuts about this case is if pro-Palestine protests are able to do whatever the fuck they want, whenever the fuck they want, in whatever city that they want.
Yeah.
What's different here? I would argue that the Free Palestine people are a shit ton more violent, because I've been to both. I've been to the Free Palestine protest to see it from my eyes, and I was at the Freedom Convoy. And I tell you, The people at the Free Palestine protest, the people from the BLM protests are so much more violent than the Freedom Convoy. I did not see one act of violence at the Freedom Convoy until a horse stepped on a woman.
I mean, so I haven't, like, I'm out on the East Coast where we just don't really have that many protests. Like, I haven't seen any of them. Now, from what I remember, how much truth is there to the, like, were people blaring horns, like loud ass horns all night, all hours of the night, like 24/7? Because that's what was reported. That's the way they discussed it. If I lived there, that
not
would
when I was there, man.
Okay.
Not when I was there.
I didn't know.
But here's the thing, man. You're literally living right across from the parliament, and that's what Tom was saying today on the podcast. And he made such a valid point where
that's true too.
You decided to live within noise distant from the parliament, the place in Ottawa where all the decisions are taken for Canada. This is Canada's capital. It's not just Ottawa, it's Canada's capital. It's always going to be busy. It's always going to be full of noise. It's the capital of Canada. What do you expect? So at the same time, all I'm saying is it should be okay for both, not just for some. And this is what we're seeing here. Today was just another example of how the liberals over the past 10 years have weaponized their justice system to crush dissent. And if we're not careful, Bill C2, C8, C9, and C63 are going to pass. And they won't even need to crush dissent. They'll be able to put a stop to it before it even starts because they'll cut your internet off. They won't have to worry about this shit. Eventually they'll be able to debank you, yet they've done it multiple times during the convoy. I just can't imagine what they would have done during the convoy if they had Bill C2, Bill C2, C8, C9, and C63 were law. Back in the convoy, I don't even think the convoy would have happened because they could have crushed it before it became popular by just cutting everybody's internet access. You're involved, no problem. We're seeing something happening, cut. So, just to go back, here was a good explanation of the actual conditions of the house arrest right here. So basically, like I said, they have 18 months each, but Tamara Lich is getting 3.5 months, 2.5 months off for the second part for the 6 months afterwards. So the first 12 months is house arrest, except to and from court, medical emergency appointments, religious services, and 5 hours a week for shopping. It's not really shopping, it's for
like groceries,
things that you need, like necessary stuff. Exactly. She can go to her grandchild's birth because supposedly she's gonna have a grandchild soon.
Sure. And
the remaining of the 6 months is literally 10 to 5 curfew. I know Chris had a little difference as he could go to a specific place, something valley. I don't know enough about Saskatchewan to know what or where that is.
I think your mic is crackling. Is it? Yep. I can hear it a little bit, but it doesn't sound too bad to me. But there's been a couple people that mentioned it, so
that's a fucking sharing screen.
Easter the Soul also mentioned it, so maybe it's more annoying for the viewers.
It's my internet connection. My internet is fucking sucky. I can see it go down and up, down and up. I have no idea why. I have better connection in the woods than I do in the city.
Are you on Wi-Fi?
Yeah, of course.
Try, can you run
no. Who the fuck has a 50 feet Ethernet cable anymore? Ethernet cable?
Ethernet, yeah. Dial up. Just see if just I don't know, restart or something. See if it does something. I'll take a few questions here while we wait for that. Let's see. Euster the Soul says, does anyone know what the term pound of flesh really means? I do. I know I would not use that wording myself. I think that's from Merchant of Venice, is it not? Shylock why wouldn't you use it? Out of curiosity. DNL says, good for you, Nico. We need to listen to all opinions and points of view, and hopefully we reconsider our own positions and attitudes. Yep, that's fair. It applies to all of us.
Is it still the same? Is it still crackling?
No, it's not crackling, but it's, I don't know, it sounds too loud now.
It's too loud?
Too loud, yeah. Almost like the gain is up or something.
Oh shit, it is. It's there you go.
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah. It was 100%, yeah. It was through the roof for some reason.
Wise guy says, I asked if he was being paid and his reaction was to call me a coward. That's how I knew he was right about him. Who are we talking about here, wise guy? I'm jumping into the middle of the conversation here. DNL says, I heard Tom made that argument, but sorry, I call BS on that. You cannot occupy a city, period. Had the protest been on the Hill, that would have been one thing, but that's not what happened. Yeah, I mean, fair point. Appreciate the comment, DNL. I think it's always important to have a counterpoint or contrarian view. Again, like, I wasn't there. I just find it really hard to have a strong opinion one way or the other, because there are definitely scenarios I can envision where I would find that really problematic. And there are other, most of what I learned from that period is from the mainstream media. And I've obviously since then learned not to trust media, the media too much. So I just don't really have an opinion on it.
At the end of the day, it's very easy to quarterback this shit from 3 years ago. If you remember where we were, I gave thousands of hugs to people in the middle of COVID when you weren't allowed 6 feet from one another. How many people have cried on my shoulders saying this is as much human contact as they had ever since this whole thing started? Remember that we were on lockdowns. People weren't allowed to go see their families. You were spending your holidays alone. I lived alone, man. I didn't have anybody. I had a dog. So that means I wasn't allowed to, that doesn't mean I didn't do it, but I wasn't allowed to see other people. The point is that it's very easy for us to complain today, to say, oh shit, if that would happen today, it would be a different story. But at the end of the day, man, that was in the middle of lockdown when we were being told that we needed a fucking passport to prove your vaccination status in order to go somewhere. This is the time that we talk about this. We're literally talking about when our government went tyrannical on us. And, I said something similar to that the convoy stood up to the government. But Jason corrected me today. He's like, that is not why it started. They just wanted to know why they couldn't cross the border without a passport. Because you were literally preventing that. And by a passport, I mean a vaccination passport.
Yeah. That's why it started as a trucker thing. So it's a trucker-related issue, right?
But they wanted to be able to talk with the government. And if you remember, Trudeau refused to talk to them. This is when that happened. If Trudeau would have sat down with them, chances are that convoy would have never have to happen. But Trudeau refused to listen to its people. So this is the thing, man. They did the right thing, if you ask me. Sure, is it inconvenient to people? 100%. But what the fuck do you expect? You live right across from the parliament in the capital of Ottawa. What do you expect? It's the capital of Canada. It's like people in Washington, D.C. complaining that there's too many people around the White House or around around all their government, their Senate, for example. You can't. This is what those cities are about. I'm sorry, but as much as Ottawa can complain about the noise, I don't hear them complain about all the fucking jobs that they have because all the government is there. This is the same thing. You don't get to say, oh, I want the jobs, but I don't want the attention. No, that doesn't work like that.
I mean, as it relates to specifically Tamara, Lich, and Chris, what we're talking about, like you said, whatever you feel about the convoy or that moment in time, I feel like everyone should just be like, let bygones be bygones based on that time. Everyone was a little bit fucked in the head. We were all kind of crazy. I think, I really don't think we should be here in October 2025 sentencing people to anything because of, how they were protesting 2 or 3 or 4 years ago. And I would think that even if I disagreed with what they were protesting about, I just think like you got to cut people some slack. Like that was a pretty unique and high sort of pressure moment in time. I think none of us really knew what was going on. And yeah, I don't know. It doesn't sit right to me to be sentencing people here now. And, like I said, October 2025, even if it is just house arrest, like just let it go, guys. Like fucking, we need to move on.
The part that's the most insane part about this is that it's the people that try to force us into submission. They're still going after us. Guys like me that lost everything over this because I decided to not take a vaccine. We're not the one in the street protesting. We're not the one complaining right now. We're just saying, leave those fucking people alone. Like they didn't do anything wrong. You guys did. But it's interesting how it's still the government that's trying to crush dissent. This has nothing to do with justice. That has everything to do with crushing future dissent. They wanted, today, the government reminded us that if you want to stand up to them, there's consequences. That's what happened today. They want us to know that if you stand up to us, you will be fucking charged. And even if you don't go to prison, we will drag you for years in court so that you're scared for your livelihood. And that's what they did. They are trying to crush dissent. And don't be fooled. C2, C8, C9, C63 are 4 bills. 3 of them are already tabled. 1 of them is about to be retabled again. This is not a coincidence that it's all happening at the same time. They have to remind us who's boss. Yet we're the fucking boss. They work for us, but we forgot that. We forgot that the government works for us, not the other fucking way around.
True North Transparent says, but Rob still thinks the convoy is bad, right? No, I don't think it was bad. I would say I wasn't a supporter of it at the time, but nor did I really oppose it. I just was never radicalized by COVID during the time. I just thought it was a giant pain in the ass. I didn't see it as like a lot of, I didn't really see it as the way that, Nico would have seen, or a lot of people at the convoy would have seen it. I just saw it as something that was inconvenient that we just had to get through. My opinion has changed over the past couple of years. Looking back, I think if it happened now, if I could go back in time, I probably would have been a supporter of the convoy then. And if they tried to do those kind of lockdowns again, I would definitely be much stronger opinionated on it than I was back then.
And the thing, but again, it always comes down, the speech that you're saying always comes down from people that were vaccinated that did not get affected by this.
Yeah.
I fucking lost everything. I lost relationships. My mother and my sister literally don't talk to me because of this. Because I chose not to get vaccinated. Yeah. I lost basically all my friends. I lost my family. I lost my career. I wasn't fucking working at Tim Hortons here. I was making multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like I was making a shit ton of money. Lost it all because I chose not to get vaccinated. So it's very easy for people that got vaccinated. They're part of the 90% of Canadians that just did what they were told. And all the power to you. That's your choice. At the end of the day, just like it was mine not to do it. But to tell me that we need to get over it, to forget, I will never forget what the government did to me. I will never forget what the people around me did. I will never forget. I will forgive my family members. I will forgive my friends, because forgiving is not about them. It's about you. You don't let people live in your brain for free. But I will never forget what they did. And at the end of the day, nobody can ever convince me that the government did that because that was the best thing to do. It was not, and they fucking knew it. From the get-go, they knew the masks didn't fucking work and the lockdowns wouldn't work. Just the fact that you could sit down to take your mask off is the dumbest fucking shit. Do you remember at one point we couldn't be inside, but we could be outside, but outside got cold, so they built outside. Do you remember the restaurant? They had outside area that were covered, but you couldn't go inside, but you could be outside, inside.
Or what,
inside, outside.
Remember, you could go in the restaurant and you had to have your mask on, but you could take it off when you were sitting down to eat.
100%.
Because when you're sitting down, it's just all nonsense, right? And like what you said there is exactly correct, right? We all base our opinions on our life experiences. For sure, if it just never had the effect on me that it did on you. And I just never felt that strongly about it. Funny thing is, like, I oppose lockdowns on principle, but I actually, like, personally, I really liked it. I had a great time during lockdown. Just I was locked in with my girlfriend. We had a good time. We had some fun neighbors. We were just kind of like shooting the shit and partying all day. And I mean, that was my experience. I just, it's hard to be radicalized in that situation. You're just fucking all of a sudden right now you're out of the rat race. You got days yourself, spend all day banging your girlfriend, man. It was just a great time. Now, if I had, a $300K a year job that I lost, yeah, I'd probably feel differently. I'd probably feel a lot stronger about it. If I lost family members, if I was alienated by family, yeah, no doubt I would. And again, a lot of my opinion now more comes from retrospection, looking back and being like, you know what? That really wasn't very smart. That really didn't do anything. I think at the time I thought that, I always thought they were dumb, but I thought they were like, trying to get the right policy, and they just didn't. I don't really see it that way anymore.
I recognized back in March 2020, after 2 conversations, I called a doctor friend of mine, and I talked to a nurse friend of mine. I asked them the same question. What the fuck is COVID? They're like, we've been dealing with it for months now. This is going to turn into something like a common cold. We need to learn how to live with it. Then I started researching, and I found out that the mask that they were saying, the N95, the actual filters on them is twice the size of the COVID virus. So it went right through it. I'm like, okay, so they're pushing this, and then I got a doctor and a nurse friend of mine. They're telling me that this is just a common cold. So I'm like, in fucking March 2020, I already knew I wouldn't stand for this. And then when they started pushing the mask, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I was done. In March 2020, when it first started, it blows my mind that to this day, people don't see that as a test. To me, this was a test. After 100 years of indoctrination, they wanted to see what we would do. I
don't see it.
No,
like
but
that.
that's fine. But that's fine that you don't. Yeah. But
maybe I'm wrong. I could be, for sure. Wouldn't be the first time.
If you look at it, it was a worldwide coordinated event. We have never seen anything like that before. Everybody was under some type of lockdown and restrictions. We were one of the worst places in Canada, especially Quebec was the worst in North America. But it was a world coordinated event, and I don't believe in coincidences whatsoever. So we can argue until we're blue in the face. Was it released on purpose, or did people take advantage of it? Doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we lost our rights. We accepted it. How many people, this is the question I have for the people in the audience. How many people would have taken the shot if there was no consequences? If, let's say that there was no passport, that really the shot was, it's there if you want it, but if you don't want it, no problem. It's your choice. That's what, what's his name? The governor of Florida, DeSantis, did. DeSantis pretty much told people, you cannot force people to take a vaccine. He said it, he passed that mandate to both the private sector and the public sector. If you cannot force people to get the vaccine, but if you guys want it, it's available. If you don't, no problem. You want to wear a mask? Go for it. You don't want to wear a mask? No problem. You want your kids to stay home because you don't want them to catch something at school? No problem. We're going to have the classes available online. You want to send your kids to school? No problem. The schools are open. This is what a free society should be. You have the choice. And if you want it, great. You don't want it? Great.
On that,
this is my point. How many people would have taken the shot? Because we're looking at the studies are saying 81% to 90%, somewhere in there. Of how many people got at least one shot?
It would be less.
How many of those?
It would be less. Probably 50%.
Would you have taken it? Would you have taken it right now? If I would have told you that there was no consequences, you were not losing your freedoms for anything that life.
Mostly just because I'm lazy as shit and I just don't go out and do stuff. I just wouldn't have given a shit. That's the thing. Like, I see True North says, you're not convincing me, Rob. I didn't know I was supposed to. I just didn't give a shit, really. It just wasn't that important to me. It didn't affect my life that negatively. And my opposition to it now is more on principle. And, so when it's a principle, it's hard to get, I just don't it didn't affect me negatively. In fact, in a lot of ways, personally, that was a good time in my life. Not because of the shot, but just for other things that had nothing to do with that. Overall, I just never really gave a shit one way or the other. And I mean, I don't know. I know it's kind of boring to be neutral and just not have a strong opinion, but it is what it is. It's just not a topic that I'm fired up about.
Daniel is saying
one thing we could definitely agree. One thing we could definitely agree, and this is a hard line, is absolutely should no people ever be forced to take any medicine or put any medicine into their body, anything into their body, to be able to participate in society. That is something I do feel very passionate about. That I feel very strongly about that.
DNL is saying thousands of people died due to COVID. Facts. We were at war with a virus, and when we started to vaccinate ourselves en masse, lives were saved. Fact. I would take the vaccine all over again. Wrong. That is not true at all, buddy. I'm sorry, man. That is quite inaccurate. Is it true that people died of vaccine? That died because of COVID? Absolutely. You're looking at a 99% survival rate to the COVID, and the people that died had 2 or 3 comorbidities. Those were people that were already, they were sick people. They were people with no immune system left. So pretty much anything at that point that was somewhat severe could have killed them. Your vaccination en masse did not save shit. That is inaccurate. Absolutely inaccurate. Think about it this way. The lifespan of a vaccine is about 10 to 15 years. The only thing that gives you life immunity, natural immunity, is if you develop your own immune system. If you get sick, you adapt. If you have a strong immune system, you will adapt. And this is the problem. Big Pharma wants you to believe that herd immunity, natural herd immunity, look what's going on with the hostages in BC, that it's not possible. This is the truth. They want you to forget that natural immunity exists. It is possible to have a strong immune system if you take care of yourself. But unfortunately, look at the US, 42% of people are obese and about 30% of them are overweight. There's studies that just came out saying that in Canada, 66% of people are either obese or overweight. So you know that they're not taking care of their body. I guarantee you their immune system is shit because that's what happens when you treat your body like a dumpster. Your body is shit. That's how it works. But we don't take care of ourselves anymore. We rely on medicine instead of taking care of ourselves. That's what happened. If you want the vaccine, bro, all the power to you. That's your choice. You can do whatever the fuck you want. And I will never stop somebody from taking a vaccine. That is up to you. But if you start searching as to how vaccine works, and you got to be careful, the mRNA vaccination that you got is not the same thing as your typical vaccine that we got as children. It's a completely different type of technology there. This was tested on people, fast-tracked to see how people would react. Those were never tested properly. So at the end of the day, man, you can say whatever you want. People were coerced into taking it, and I'll never be able to prove it because those numbers don't exist. But one thing is for sure, not as many people. There's no way that 91% of people would have taken that vaccine if there was no consequences to it. And that is exactly why they force people to do it. That's why they told people, if you don't do this, those are the consequences. How many people do I know personally that took the vaccine just because they did not want to lose their lifestyle? They wanted to be able to go out. They wanted to go to the restaurant. They wanted to go to the movies. They wanted to go to bars. But that's my point. How many people would have taken the vaccine if there was no consequences? If it was 100% just a choice with no consequences outside of what the vaccine might do to you, that's it. That's the consequence. But you have no social consequence. You're not losing any of your freedom. I guarantee you that less than half of the people would have taken it. Because there's still people that would have taken it. No questions about that. Sure. But I would argue that it's probably somewhere in the middle. Although, that's my opinion. I'll never have proof.
It definitely would be less. But yeah. I mean, like I said, if it happened, if any sort of pandemic happened again, I would be opposed to it, just because I'd be like more aggressively opposed to it, just because I see sort of how everything went. It was pretty much right after COVID that I started to begin this transition away from, oh shit, the media is really lying to you all the fucking time. And so, back then I think, I still probably trusted the media for the most part. Sometimes it takes you longer to see it. But I don't know. It was a pretty wild time. I think, I think your assessment's correct, that I think a lot fewer people would have taken it if there wasn't some social pressure. I mean, that was probably the main reason I did. That said, I never took any boosters. I just got the first shot. Never had any issues. Didn't affect me. Didn't, I don't even think I ever got COVID. Maybe I did and didn't show signs, but I've never. And it just, it was a fucking weird time in everyone's life, man. But I don't know. I certainly didn't see it the way that you did then. Although I've changed my opinion since then. I mean, I don't. I don't even think they'd try it again, to be honest. I'm sure. I know you thought it was a test run, and maybe it was. But
no. This will happen again. They just voted, the WHO and Canada agreed, just put a new pandemic procedure in place. The US refused it, and we're talking about the last 2 months. The US refused it, but Canada went with it. So they're already preparing for the next one. It's a matter of time before it happens again. It's just a matter of time before it happens again. I'm going to take one more on this and then we can move on. It's just DNL tends to disagree with me, but he always sticks around. He was there today. I like when people disagree with me. Like, I love having those conversations, DNL, so hopefully you don't take this like I'm singling you out. I actually enjoy this. So he's saying, yes, I know all the differences between these vaccines, and they were scientifically tested. Incorrect. Again, brother, I deal with some of the biggest names on the planet that are virologists. I had the chance, because of what I do, to sit down and actually talk to those people. I've worked with an organization called NCI, the National Citizen Inquiry. They have some of the biggest name going to their events talking about this. If you look at vaccines, and I'm talking traditional vaccine, they're not double. Do you know what a double-blind study is? Mm-hmm. That's the top of the top. They're never tested in a double-blind study. The mRNA vaccine was not tested. It normally takes something like 6 or 7 years.
They just didn't have the time
trials.
For it. Yeah, they didn't have time.
Because it takes 6 or 7 years on average for a vaccine to be approved. They fast-tracked it within a year. So the testing was not done by the same type of procedure that they would test it normally. So for you to tell me that it was tested properly, it wasn't. It just wasn't. That's a fact. You can argue with me until you're blue in the face. It's 6 to 7 years, the testing process. So it was not tested. It was not tested whatsoever. But at the end of the day, man, again, don't take this as a sign of disrespect. You're allowed to believe what you believe, man. That's the whole point of the show. Is I don't want a fucking echo chamber. I want to be able to debate or to speak with people like you. So hopefully you don't take this the wrong way, but I enjoy this. I absolutely enjoy those conversations. So there's 2 more things I wanted to cover, so we'll have to do it fast unless you had something else to add to this, because this is one of my rabbit holes. So.
Yeah, no, for sure it is. And that's, obviously you've got your rabbit holes, I've got mine. I think I don't know exactly. I think I do make a differentiate between more like the MMR vaccine, or say an older one, and this brand new mRNA one. I don't. But most of my opposition to it isn't even an opposition to vaccines in and of themselves. It's more just forcing people to take fucking drugs or put anything in their body they don't want to, in order to participate in society. And I think, anyone on this show can, I think that's a hard line we can all get behind.
Let's hold on. There's 2 things I wanted to show up. I'll give a super quick update on yesterday. We talked about MAID, right? About how there's organ donation. that's happening. Remember, we were talking about this 38 years old man with ALS. So somebody, I started working with a researcher. So I got somebody to help me out with a bunch of research, and he sent me this today, which is just, I find it very fucking interesting. And you'll see why. So here is an update on the story. So Canada's euthanasia patient, heart transplant. So the same guy we were just talking about. So the 38-year-old with ALS.
Mm-hmm.
You know what's interesting is, where do you think his heart ended up?
Well, I can see right there. 59
in the US. Yeah. So a 59-year-old man from Pittsburgh is the one that received the heart. So you got a guy that killed himself through MAID, that gave his organs away. His heart was taken from Canada, shipped to the US, given to a 59-year-old guy from Pittsburgh.
No Canadians need hearts?
That was my next question. It turns out that there is. So, as of December 31st, 2024, there were 190 Canadians waiting for a heart transplant, according to the Canadian Institute for Health Information. In 2024, a total of 166 heart transplants were performed, with 13 patients dying while on the waiting list. So last year, 13 people died because they didn't have a heart available. And as it stood at the end of last year, December 31st, 2024, there was still 190 Canadians waiting for a heart.
Also, a 59-year-old? Like, that's pretty old, man. There's no one younger that needs a heart? I don't know about this. I don't know if I like
that.
This.
That sounds to me like chicka 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 ching ching. Yeah. So the company, the Trillium company that we were talking about yesterday, you know that they got connection. There's no reason this should be allowed. As much as I disagree with this shit, there's no way this should have left Canada. Like, why did it leave Canada? No. You know why? You know why? Because there's money to be made in the US. This is a conspiracy theory. 100% conspiracy. This is my opinion. But please tell me that it went to that 59-year-old in front of the 190.
Yeah, I'd like to see his net worth. I would like to, because I guarantee you he's not some plumber. He is not. Now, I heard a story, and I forget the guy's name, but someone might know who it is. He's like an American billionaire. And I think over the last couple of decades, he had like 4 hearts or something, or 5 hearts, put into his body because they kept failing. He was like 90 when he died or something. But you see stuff like that, and you hear, the argument is always, oh, well, it's illegal to buy organs, right? So case closed, yes. Right? But, it's like, just like they'll always say, oh, well, illegal immigrants don't get health care. And of course, that's a lie. They do. So you hear all kinds of things like that, right? Or no, they're not really doing gender affirming care on teenagers, not really doing, cutting off the penises of 16-year-olds. And in fact, they are. So the fact that someone says like, oh, that's illegal, that is not actually true. So they can say, oh, it's illegal all they want. And maybe on the books it is. But I guarantee you there is a way that if you have a lot of money, you can get the body parts that you want.
Check this out. We asked the question, how much life is worth? A heart can be purchased for $1 million. The livers are worth about $557,000, and kidneys are about $262,000, as per Dr. Perleton Mesco. What the
That's messed up.
So that is one wealthy plumber.
They won't sell. Yeah, exactly right. They won't let us sell our organs either, though. Like, you can't sell your kidney if you want to, which I think. I actually think that's bullshit. I think you should be able to sell your organs if you want to.
You know all too well that there was a profit to be made there.
Yeah,
let's be honest. It's a private company,
and a 60-year-old man getting a heart from Canada, a 6-year-old American. There's no way that money wasn't involved.
They didn't do it out of the goodness of their heart, right?
No.
Right?
No.
But this blows my mind that that's even possible. Like, just the fact that they're harvesting people dying from MAID, to me, is like fucked over the top. But now that their organs are ending up in the US, like, how is that not a scandal? How is that not a scandal that private companies are shipping hearts obtained under a federal program where people kill themselves and then ship them to the US? How the fuck is that okay?
It's wild. It's just,
when there's
it's
190
one of those
Canadians
things where, like, maybe I don't know exactly where the corruption is, but it's there, right? You know that there's something somewhere along the way. If a 60-year-old American's getting this heart over every single Canadian, something around there's something going on, even if I don't know exactly what it is.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's, something is off.
Something's fishy, yeah.
Yeah, something smells like fish. Chances are there's a fucking fish.
There's a fish around. Wise guy.
Yes, we do.
We got 10 minutes.
I have a video queued. So the video I'm gonna show you 3 videos. I'm gonna show you a compilation of all the best part that I found, just to show you how. Remember, the man I'm about to show you is the economist, the man, the only one that could deal with Mr. Donald Trump, that would negotiate the best deal possible for Canada, that would stand up to Trump. This is Mark Carney himself.
No, I think he's a great prime minister. I mean, he could represent me anytime. I will tell you, I'm not saying that because he is a very strong, very good leader. He's a nice man. He's a world-class leader. He's a man that knows what he wants, and I'm not surprised to see that he won the election and won it substantially, and I would think he's more popular now. He's a good man. He does a great job, and he's a tough negotiator. Mark, it's an honor to have you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. If I may, you kindly hosted me and some of my colleagues a few months ago, and I said at the time, you are a transformative president. And since then, the transformation in the economy, unprecedented commitments of NATO partners to defense spending, peace from India, Pakistan, through Azerbaijan, Armenia, disabling Iran as a force of terror, and now, and I'm running out of time, but this is many respects the most important.
The merger of Canada and the United States.
All right. Elbows out. Elbows up.
Jesus.
So obviously, I had fun. I added the last part, but those were the best moments of his visit. But they're not the worst, actually, because please tell me that they're enemies and they don't like each other. They literally spent a minute and a half sucking each other's cocks right now, funneling with balls in front of camera.
Yeah. Well, it's just, I mean, Carney's really shit the bed here. He ran a campaign on, I'm going to stand up to Trump and this and that. And as soon as he gets elected, he just basically goes down and sucks up to him. But meanwhile, his policies actually have put real space and real distance between us and the United States. So, like, make up your mind. Like, if you're going to go anti-Trump and elbows up, then go fucking do it. Like, I think that's wrong. I think that's a wrong policy or strategy, but then do it. He's doing the worst of both worlds, the worst of all worlds. And it's no wonder the economy's in the shitter. He hasn't fucking done anything.
No, he's done something. He's made it worse. It would have been better if we wouldn't have a prime minister. I think it would have been better. I think the country would have been better off. It couldn't have been like everything that he's doing. He's been spitting on our relationship with the US from the get-go. But every single time you see those guys together, you start to realize that it's the WWE. The House of Commons is the WWE. It's the spectacle for us to show and think that they're actually doing great things. You got those two guys that are supposed to hate each other sitting there funneling each other's balls, and somehow we're supposed to believe that Carney's standing up to him. I'm not even mad that Carney's doing this because I knew he would. That's who he is. He's a bitch. He's not there to stand up to Trump. He's not an economist. You know, that's another thing. The left needs to understand that he's not an economist. He's a banker. Those are not the same thing
that's a
at
big
all.
difference.
The
That's a
big
central
difference.
banker.
Yes. Yeah.
Not even like not even an investment banker, which might have some value or some use.
No.
A central banker.
But the worst thing that he said is not even that, though. And I'm going to play a video, and I'm so happy that...
Did
that
anything
Sylvie's
come
here.
from this meeting? Did, like, anything?
Obviously, the conversations are had behind closed doors, right? They're negotiation. This was for the commoners. This is just for the regular people like you and I. We're being shown how awesome those people are. We'll have to wait and see if something happens. Obviously, I don't believe in it at all. But here, since Sylvie's here, I'm going to bring up her favorite individual. Here is what Pierre Poilievre had to say about Mark Carney's visit.
Mr. Speaker, all the hyperventilating in the world will not change the fact that the Prime Minister casually said in the Oval Office today, he bragged that $500 billion Canadian investment dollars have left for the states in the last 5 years, and then promised that $1 trillion more will leave in the next 5 years. Wow. That'll mean mines closing in Quebec and opening in Pennsylvania. It'll mean mills closing in BC and opening in Washington State, factories closing in Ontario and going to Michigan. Why is it that the Prime Minister sells out Canadian workers, Canadian jobs, and Canadian investments in the White House?
So, again, I'm going to give credit where credit is due because he's absolutely right. And I have the clip right here of Carney saying it. So here is Mark's Carney.
But yeah, and if I may, let's be clear about the relationship as it stands right now. We are the second largest trading partner of the United States. We do a lot of trade going across the border where we're cooperating, first thing. Secondly, we are the largest foreign investor in the United States. $500 billion in the last 5 years alone, probably $8 trillion in the next 5 years if we get the agreement that we expect to get. Thirdly, there are areas, as the President just said, where conflict, maybe not so much conflict, we compete. There are areas where we compete, and it's in those areas where we have to come to an agreement that works. But there are more areas where we are stronger together, and that's what we're focused on. And we're going to get the right deal. Right deal for America, right deal, obviously, from my perspective, for Canada.
So he literally just said that foreign investment from Canada is going to the U.S. 500 billion, half a trillion, and another trillion in the next year. And now he's trying to sell the idea that we're somehow in agreement, that we like each other, that we do business well, when Trump is slapping tariffs on us on basically everything that he's capable of doing. Like how is... Again, I'm not surprised by this. This is what I expected from him. We have no leverage. We've been saying this for 6, 7, 8 months now. But I'm very curious to see tomorrow. I'm going to wake up and I'm going to start looking at what the left is saying about this. And somehow they're going to continue to defend him. I don't know what it's going to take for the left to turn on Carney. Like, if this doesn't do it, they will never turn on Carney. There's nothing that man can do that they will hate him for, similar to the conservative that see Pierre Poilievre as their messiah. There's nothing that guy can't do because he's not doing shit. So there's nothing that guy can do that will make them stop liking him. So it just, Canada politics blows my mind. I don't understand where the fuck we're at and how people can still be liberals and still be conservative, like the small C conservative. Blows my mind.
Yeah. I mean, it's, there's obviously, as far as the job Carney's doing, I don't really, of course he's going to go there and kind of pump Trump's tires a bit, and Trump's going to pump his, that's diplomacy, is how it works. But I mean, there's all kinds of stuff.
Trump masturbates looking at himself in the mirror.
Oh
right?
yeah, of course he does. Of course he does, right? I'm sure he gives Carney a list of the things he wants to be praised about or something. But and you could even, if you even want to be generous to Mark Carney, you could say, okay, so we have tariffs on us. Probably nothing you can do about that. So what else are you going to do? What are you going to do to fix the economy now? Where's the nation building projects that he campaigned on? Where are the pipelines? Where's the energy export capacity on the coast? Where is the Ring of Fire being developed? Right? Where, like, not only will those projects massively increase GDP because we'll be selling our natural resources, but they'll also put Canadians back to work. They're make work projects, and instead he's doing none of it. He's going around and fucking passing hate crime laws, hate speech laws we just don't need, laws that only are basically laws on top of laws. We're just adding more punishment to things that are already have enough. So fucking do something, man. Do something. Like, if he was in there saying all these things today and also doing things, I'd give him a pass. But he's not. He's not doing anything.
He literally said that as a foreign investor, Canada is going to send $1 trillion to the U.S. Why not invest that $1 trillion in Canada instead of sending it to the U.S.?
Yeah.
That's what the U.S. is doing, right? The U.S. is trying to keep everything to bring back the economy to them, to somewhat bring back manufacturing, bring back development, oil and gas. They want to try to produce it instead of buying outwards. Is that not what every single country should do? Everything you can produce locally to your country, you produce it, you invest in it, and what you can't, you get it from other places. But he literally just said, as a foreign investor, Canada is going to send another $1 trillion to the U.S. Why? What does the U.S. have that Canada doesn't? What? What do they have that we don't, that can't be fucking developed for $1 trillion in the next 5 years?
Yeah.
What do they have that we don't? I really want to know, what do they have that we don't, especially that can't be developed for $1 trillion?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's like, we don't have a tech sector like Silicon Valley, and that's fine. We don't need one. But as far as natural resources, they don't have anything that we don't. There's nothing that they have that we don't. We can develop our natural resources. Ours are probably the most underdeveloped in terms of like how much we have versus how much
100%.
we developed.
Yep.
But yeah, we're gonna put a pin in there, guys. If you remember, we are cutting the show down to 1 hour, which I think kind of condenses the chat and gets us. It definitely helps with the algorithm as well, guys. Excellent show tonight. Lots of audience engagement, lots of audience participation. Guys, if you are just tuning in and you want to support the show, please consider becoming a member. Wise guy apparently having an intelligent leader. We don't. You can also buy us a coffee. That will, of course, help support the show and allow us to continue bringing this high quality content each and every day as we do. Other than that, I think that is it for us tonight. We will catch you tomorrow. Have a great rest of your night, and we'll see you at 8 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night. Peace.